I never imagined I'd end up on the receiving end of our Homeowners Association president's fury, but here I was. My name is Daniel. 3 years ago, after a car accident left me with partial mobility in my right leg, I moved into Sycamore Heights. The neighborhood seemed perfect: quiet streets, well-kept homes, and a driveway wide enough for my specialized van. What I didn't anticipate was that installing a simple disabled parking sign would provoke the wrath of Linda Pearson, better known in the neighborhood as Karen. I followed all the proper channels. The city approved my application, and workers installed the sign outside my home on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, I noticed the sign leaning oddly. Checking my security footage, I was stunned. There was Linda, in her crisp white capris and pastel cardigan, marching up to my sign with garden shears, partially cutting through the metal pole. I emailed her about it, and her response was immediate and unapologetic. The sign violated HOA aesthetic rules, she wrote. The board never approved it. Remove it or face $50 daily fines. I explained that the city had approved it and that the Americans with Disabilities Act superseded HOA rules. Her reply? Not in Sycamore Heights, it doesn't. The next morning, the sign was completely severed, lying on the ground. Security footage caught Linda again, this time using what looked like an electric saw at 5:30 a.m., even pausing to smile smugly at the camera afterward. I was furious. This space wasn't just convenient, it was essential. Walking even short distances on bad days was agonizing. I decided to change tactics. I sent her a calm, professional email. I noticed my sign has been damaged. I'll be reinstalling it per city ordinance, including links to the relevant disability laws. Her reply was quick. Any new installations require written HOA approval. Your application is denied. What Linda didn't know was that I'm an attorney specializing in property law. While I usually handle commercial cases, I knew residential codes better than most HOA presidents with a power complex. I called my contact at the city planning office, who assured me they'd reinstall the sign free of charge. We've had issues with this HOA before, she said with a sigh. The new sign went up Friday, and this time I had my cameras positioned perfectly, including a small, motion-activated camera inside a decorative birdhouse, installed with help from a neighbor who had also endured Linda's antics. Sure enough, at 6 a.m. Saturday, Linda appeared in her jogging outfit, wielding a cordless reciprocating saw. Watching live on my phone, I could hardly believe my eyes as she began cutting through the pole, her face twisted in determination. I had called the non-emergency police line the night before, warning them this might happen. When I dialed 911, mentioning the previous report, 2 officers arrived while she was still at it. The look on her face when the patrol car pulled up was priceless. Eyes wide, mouth frozen in a perfect O of shock. She tried hiding the saw behind her back, as if that would help. "Ma'am, what are you doing?" one officer asked. "Board inspection," she replied without missing a beat. This sign wasn't approved by the HOA Architectural Committee. Her confidence was so strong that for a moment, I almost doubted myself. I approached, showing the officers the camera feed and documentation of prior incidents. "This is the 3rd time Ms. Pearson has vandalized my legally installed disabled parking sign," I explained. "I have city permits and approval for this accommodation." The officers listened, and Linda insisted that as HOA president, she had the authority to remove unauthorized installations, even with city approval. Officer Rodriguez, whose name tag read Rodriguez, suppressed a smile as he explained. HOA rules do not override city ordinances or federal disability laws, and vandalizing city property is illegal. When the officers informed her they were issuing a citation for vandalism, her face turned crimson. "Do you know who I am?" she demanded, her voice pitched so high it probably alarmed dogs several blocks away. "My brother-in-law is Deputy Mayor Stevens. This will not stand." The officers exchanged glances but continued writing the citation. I thought that would be the end of it, a fine, maybe some community service. But Linda had other plans. That afternoon, every homeowner in Sycamore Heights received an emergency HOA bulletin via email. In it, she accused me of abusing disability accommodations, claiming I wasn't truly disabled enough to need special parking. The email even included photos of me carrying groceries and walking my dog as evidence. That was the line she crossed. I immediately contacted my doctor, the city's Disability Resource Center, and a colleague who specialized in discrimination cases. Then I filed for an emergency injunction and a restraining order against Linda and the HOA board. The case was assigned to Judge Michaels, known for her no-nonsense approach to neighborhood disputes. 2 weeks later, Linda and I faced off in court. She arrived with the HOA attorney, confident in a navy blazer and pearl necklace. I represented myself, carrying a simple flash drive with all the security footage, email exchanges, and medical documentation. Linda's attorney argued passionately about HOA authority and neighborhood aesthetics, completely ignoring the actual vandalism and harassment. When my turn came, I simply played the footage on the courtroom monitor. The first clip showed her initial attempt with garden shears. The second captured the electric saw incident, complete with her smug grin at the camera. The third showed the most recent reciprocating saw attack and her interaction with the police. I then displayed the email where she questioned my disability, highlighting the phrases that essentially accused me of fraud. Judge Michaels' brow furrowed deeper with every clip. When it ended, she removed her glasses and fixed Linda with a sharp stare. "Ms. Pearson, are you aware that tampering with a disability accommodation is a civil rights violation?" Publicly questioning the legitimacy of someone's documented disability borders on defamation, she said, her tone calm but icy. Linda's attorney tried to intervene, but Judge Michaels was not done. The court grants the restraining order. Ms. Pearson is to remain at least 50 feet from the plaintiff's property at all times. Additionally, a fine of $5,000 is issued for the civil rights violation, and this case is being referred to the district attorney for potential criminal charges regarding repeated vandalism of city property. I glanced at Linda, expecting fury, but instead saw pure shock. Her face was pale, her hand frozen mid-air, as if the concept of actual consequences had never occurred to her. Judge Michaels continued. Furthermore, Ms. Pearson is ordered to step down as Homeowners Association president effective immediately. Her actions demonstrate a fundamental misunderstanding of HOA authority and a concerning pattern of targeted harassment. Linda finally found her voice. "You can't do that," she exclaimed. "The law gives me that authority, Miss Pearson," Judge Michaels interrupted sharply. "Unlike HOA regulations, my orders are legally binding and enforceable. Court officers, please escort Miss Pearson if she continues to disrupt these proceedings." Linda sank back in her chair, her carefully constructed kingdom crumbling in less than 20 minutes. As we were dismissed, I caught a glimpse of her in the hallway, staring at her phone in disbelief as she presumably read the court order emailed to all parties. For the first time since I had known her, Linda Pearson was completely speechless.